Reverses and hopes. Honor to Frashaostra and other chiefs. This chapter divides itself naturally into sections 1 through 5, 6 through 11, verse 12 belongs with chapter 50. Well, so they say. One of the struggles in the holy cause, in Arabic you're saying jihadin fi sabilillah. Struggle in the cause is that seems to have gone against the party of Asha. I say one of the struggles, for from the account of a reverse, which we have here, and from that of a success, which meets us in chapter 45, verse 1, and again from the reverses in 46, verses 1 and 2, we naturally conclude that the cause saw many vicissitudes, in which the last Gatha still leaves us, whether Yasna 45, verse 1 records the victory, which was subsequent to the reverse before us, referring to the battle alluded to in Yasna 44, verse 14 and 15, also possibly anticipated in Yasna 31, can never be decided. The order of the statements in the sequence of our present manuscript has little or nothing to do with the possible order of the events. 1. A border chief, Bendva by name, has proved himself too formidable, Mazisto, for the moment, and the Holy Faith knows how to beg for vengeance on the armed Drug worshipper. The weapons of Ahura were not spiritual only, any more than those of Israel were, or of Muhammad. The death of an armed religious enemy was devoutly to be desired, for every mortal and political, as well as for every personal reason. 2. For judicial as well as priestly decisions hung on the issue, and this Bendva had as functionaries and a system. They were in full and active operation, and this was beyond a doubt a rival and settled system, and not merely an upstart and insurrectionary one. It had caused the true prophet many an hour of thought as well as anger. Its functionaries gave him pause. Menayete, falsity in religion, was as ever his opportunity, and invective follows. The priestly judge himself, who served the Drug worshippers, side of the isn't it Drugvant or something like that, was a cheat. The holy order was his foe, and not his helper, and he did not contribute at all to the spread of piety, as the Zarathustrians conceived of it, nor indeed really in another sense, for the reason that he even repudiated the source of pious wisdom, which is holy counsel. 3. But, however the evil functionaries might resort to subterfuge and strategy, the opposing powers themselves, the righteous order on the one side and the power of the lie demon on the other, were planted in the opposing systems with dualistic clearness to benefit or injure. There was no compromise, as doubtless the Drug party may have wished, and so the poet cries once more for the divine benevolence to be his guardian, or perhaps may he have intended a particular chief who represented the good mind, while at the same time he swept the entire throng and the company who adhered to the lie demon with his interdict away from his consideration, for he declares them closely allied to the Da'eva worshippers. Is the word Da'eva Yasnas or Da'evas Yasnas? Yasnas as in the praise, the celebration, the songs, the worship, not just respect, respect, but prayers to rather than prayers upon, or else he puts their worship of the Da'avas in the place of climax as their highest offense, not failing to point out what should conciliate sympathy with him always, that is, those who have brought the Davas and opposed Asha, or the devotees of Rapine, Eshmem Varaden, for murderous rapine seems to have been, apart from Asha, the universal sin. By this, these Deva worshippers gained a stolen livelihood, and spent their ill-gotten means in idle waste. Pshu Yasu Afshu Yanto. But he who defended the holy Daena was as meat and drink to the people, wise and faithful, as a settled citizen, and trained in the habits of the holy state. 6. He therefore prays once more for right discernment as to how he may propagate the faith. 7. And he calls on the steady citizen to listen, beseeching God himself to give an ear and to tell him who the faithful prince or peer or villager may be, who may take the lead, see Sarah, and giving forth, see Sravyama, that holy Daena, with its Frashaostra, to the masses who awaited. 8. But he asks the question as if only to give emphasis to his naming a chief and venerated friend. Frashaostra is the man. He is the one fitted for the hearing, apt to proclaim the truth. Fras ruidyae eretro, and he begs that they both, compare Yasna 28, verse 9, may be lastingly prominent in that holy realm which was to counteract the depraved polity whose chief had, for the moment, gained the upper hand, verses 1 and 2. 9. But the case is in so far uncertain and undecided that he cries for help once more to the ideal citizen himself, fearing that he may yet be induced to share the power with the heretic, and still declares that men's souls may reach the reward of priority only through the holy system of Ahura and under the rulers of his choice. 10. He therefore confides the result to Ahura, and with it his dependents, those living and those dead, and his thoughts being turned to heaven, verse 11, they revert to, as if by antithesis, the keynote of the Daena, and to future retribution. Those who may be wavering, have inclined to adhere to the opposing party, verse 9, are warned in words of particular meaning. Those that choose the evil sovereign, Dusaste, as in Yasna 32, verse 9, are as the Sastars of Yasna 46, verse 1, will not go forward with the saints to the Kinvat. Yasna 46, verse 10, nor will they be met by their consciences under pleasing images, and later by the souls of saints who have gone before. But the wicked dead shall meet them in the home of lies, with poisoned food and sneering words, and this shall be a self-inflicted vengeance. And let us remember, because we brought up, because Muhammad was brought up by him, and I brought up jihad and fi sabilillah. People say there's 165 verses in Al-Quran about jihad, and the fact of the matter is that most of these do not mention, they go beyond such things as battle. And if you look at the 43 battles, none of them were wars of conquest. I mean, conquest happens, but they weren't wars of conversion. They weren't trying to get slaves or property or something like that. If they got property, it was taken from them or whatever. So it's not what we're familiar with crusades. So the translation one, Bendva has ever fought with me, yea, since he first appeared, and to threaten at last to his advantage in the strife. He is the most powerful and brutal might, and in his predominance would crush my strength as I seek to win back the disaffected in my host through righteous zeal. O Mazda, come then with gifts of vengeful good to meet my sorrow. Through thine inspiring good mind, obtain for me that Benva's death. 2. He is indeed the greatest, for that Benva's evil judge doth cause me to hesitate and ponder in my artist's course of propagation and reform, a deceiver as he is estranged from the righteous order, and receiving from it, not happiness, but many a wound, the bountiful and perfect piety, he has not maintained nor strengthened for this land, nor questions with thy good mind hath he asked, to gain him light, O Lord. 3. But all is not yet lost, for this religious choice, our holy creed, for which our last lost battle has been fought, O Mazda, thy blessed order, our guardian help, has yet been set to save and bless us. But for that evil judge, the demon of the lie, is set to deal for him her wounds. Therefore do I pray the more for the sheltering leadership of thy good mind within our folk and our commanders, and all the allies of the wicked I abjure. For they who with evil scheme and will shall cherish and help on the wrath of rapine, and with her Ramah, and not by silent favor, but with their very tongues, whose will and wish run not with good but evil deeds, these settle and support the Da of us in their power, not the Lord. It is the wicked's faith and insight so to do. So to do their faith is the perverted. 5. But he, O Mazda, is our abundance and our fatness, who will yet dare these unbelieving foes, and guard the faith against that envious wrath. And with the good mind's power for every man of piety is a wise citizen in accordance with the holy order, and so are all who are in truth within thy realm, O Lord. 6. And now will I beseech of you, O Mazda, in righteousness within thy Mathra speaks, to tell me what lies within your will's intention, that, having discerned your insight as the enlightened ever must, I may as well discern aright how we can herald forth those truths, and that pure dana with them, which is the faith of him who is thyself, O Lord. 7. And, as we speak it forth as taught by Asha, then let the zealous citizen give heed, and with thy good mind, O Ahura Mazda, yea, let him give ear in accordance with the dictate of the holy order, and do thou hear alike as well. Who shall be the ally, and who the kinsman lord himself, who with his gifts and legal rules shall institute and settle for the serving mass a worthy praise for God. 8. And I do not ask in vain for such, and one is found for us, and near at hand. To Frashaostra hast thou given that most favoring guardian power and headship of the holy order for us, O Ahura. This, therefore, would I pray of thee, to confirm to him that gracious gift, and for myself likewise, would I now seek as well that sheltering headship which is within thy realm. Yea, most blessed and foremost, may we both forever be within it. 9. Let the zealous and thrifty husbandman, so formed for giving help and blessings, give heed and listen when I call, O Mazda. Let not the truthful tiller, he who hears and speaks thy word, be he who takes that sheltering chieftainship together with the wicked. Let the believing natures only join in that best recompense, and thus in the course of the holy order are, in the fact, so joined to these two, Gamaspa and the hero. 10. And since these champions thus join in that reward, then, therefore, will I place as well in thy protection thy good mind. In the living and the spirits of the dead, yea, all combined, are very self-humbling praises, which we offer unto thee, by which thine Rama'ita, who is our piety, exists, and likewise sacrificing zeal. And this would we do to further thy great sovereign power among thy folk, and with undying strength. 11. But as to faithless reprobates, the souls of the evil dead shall meet those evil men who serve their evil rulers, who speak evil words, and harbor evil consciousnesses. These souls in hell shall come with evil food to welcome them, and in the lies abode their dwelling verily shall be. And I've been trying to whisper the parentheses, and obviously, I don't remember what note I was going to share there, but so we are in the comment to Yasna 34, and okay, 11 is, okay, the end of verse 2, the chants of the bounteous praisers. We have, this recalls the Dasameh Stu Tam of Yasna 28, verse 10. The Pahlavi renders freely and not uncritically regarding the Spenta nar as Zarathustra himself. Aftano Den Garodmano Stayem Naroyingaseng has Garothmane Stapame Te. And in the next verse, which are guarded, so the translations Igras, Parvaresen, Vamen, Fra Runi, Naryosang has Uttamena, Pratipalya, Manasa, and compare Yasna 32, verse 2, Saremano, Kshatrat. The singular verb is difficult, and towards the end it is a blessing, are for those justly acting, and in preparation we will offer it as a blessing together with all who are among your own. Here, Kshmavant equals your own rather than yourselves. And with verse 4, the steadfast harm are visible as fire, but this seems too feeble a conception for the place. The Pahlavi translator read Daresta as a participle from Darez, which is quite possible, as that should be from Dares. He renders Yak Sen Un En Kino. Rong Yaseng has Vidadate Nigraham. That's so translated because he was not aware that Daresta could also be a participle from Dares. And no, that's not tenable as an explanation anymore, supposedly. As harmless as weapons hurled from the hands. As by no means a partially selected specimen, let the reader consider the following from the Pahlavi. Thus, O Harmazd, this, which is thy fire, which is so powerful, is a satisfaction to him who is Ahara Ye. When my chieftain, the glossus, seems to have a text with the first pronoun, otherwise the first translator who never saw, Use Mahi, becomes one by whom duty and charity are fulfilled, for it is quick and powerful. The fire, and remains continually in friendship with him, and makes joy manifest to him, and therefore, O Au Harmazd, I on him who is the tormentor, it takes revenge, as if with a mighty wish. And what is in your kingdom? Kat is often a mere interrogative particle, so modern interrogatives are also often merely formal, and may become of your own, in verse 5 there. Bartholomah admirably follows K4 here with its hakmi. It gives a more common explanation of va'o, which I am obliged to take in a possessive sense beside ne. The manuscript used by the Pahlavi writer had, however, ahmi, as many others now extant. And note the reoccurrence of this care for the poor, showing with the frequent mention of righteousness, the good mind, and so forth meant. And where's, being apart from the Da'evas and the Krafstras and that sort of thing. Observe that Da'evais must mean the demon entities and not their worshippers here. Pare Va'o indicates thus, and also Mashya'is is men who are separately mentioned. Remember that passage in Surah 23 of the Quran that you have this idea, let the demons not touch me. The Pahlavi translator is finally critical here, giving us our first hint as to the meaning. Pesh lekum min, harvisp guno, levino, guft, homanad, aig, to bunkar, dar, homaned, etc. So with Antara, Mruya, he was the pioneer also. I render with impartiality, which of what kind is your sovereignty? That is, what thing can I do, whereby your sovereignty may be increased through my instrumentality? And which is your wealth? That is, what thing I should do, whereby riches may be kept in your possession by means. How thus? In the actions of Harmaz shall I become yours. That is, I shall do that thing through which, by my means, your sovereignty is extended, and also wealth is kept in your possession by me. For whenever I shall do righteous deeds, that is, when I shall do duty and good works, Ohuman gives nourishment to the poor, before all of every kind, even before them are ye declared. That is, ye are more capable than the demons, for their intellect is perverted, and ye are also for men. And the Pahlavi has daksak for, in verse 6 here, of a sign. And then we have the world's entire abiding. So indicated by ketrunani, I have no doubt whatever that ma'ata should have this sense. See also Yasna 30, verse 9. And the Pahlavi for later in the verse, sacrifice and praising. We have Pavan Afrinagano Dahisno Va Sta Yisno Satun Madam. And we have more devoutly, we have Urva Idyao. If in its original form looks like a comparative, one naturally thinks of a vrod equivalent to vrid. But sometimes the equivalence of one language versus another, just like we see with Da'eva, has nothing to do with the Devis and the other, and so where are thine offers? Verse 7. Rhetorically interrogative, as often in English, are indeed a mere particle. Yasna 46, verse 9 has something. And misfortune and woe, later in that verse. So also the Pahlavi indicates with its amuktisno, e Huvar isno, avo karva, kirfek, munik pavan, asani, va munik pavan, tangi, va dunyen, frak, hushi, Narungaseng has siksham, satyeya, ya, samad, natva, sam, katatva, te, kurutta, vipulaka itanya, kila ya karyam, punyam yat, sam, rid, dattaya, kurutta, taka yat, sam, katataya, pe, kurutta, tasya, vignan, aka it anyam, tas mad bhavate. And na'o is to be taken in the possessive sense, and we're, of sacrifice and zeal is the note here. And they are terrified. We go on to, but the Pahlavi has min sak-i valmansan mam-an kun isno glanman beam. Possibly by these actions, they terrify us in the middle of the sense of the active. Well, if we look at the Talmud, some of the commentary doesn't agree with the portion of Tanakh that it's agreeing with. So we see this stuff happen over and over again in conservative faith. The pressing the weaker. It is a mistake to suppose that the Pahlavi translator and his followers, Arang Yugsang and the Persian manuscript of Haug's collection, refer na id ya ungem and na dento to the same Sanskrit word. They translate them as if referring the first to nad and the last to nid. And the good mind abideth far. Min balman san bara rakik aito vohuman asman o seems an impossible reading and cannot be reconciled with bahu. The hint of the Pahlavi, one desired of thee, verse 9, as usual, to the general sense, leaving us the task of discovering the grammatical structure. Here I do not follow the indication of sed kunyen. Now Yosang has parik ship yante. The vocative o thou is free. And later in the verse, the utterly departs, the red krafesta. So in the general, the Pahlavi has min valman san kabed ahara yi segdak. The Ring Yosang has tabya, prabuto, dharma, praprasyate. And at the end of the verse, from us, thy faithful servants, if ahmat is read, but the manuscript before the Pahlavi translator has ahmat. The Ring Yosang has etya, freely. Similarly, a rendering results, as from him flee away. And observe the evidence of the Zend to the prevalent meaning of kratu and the note wise. And the creatrix of righteous beings, which is an interesting phrase. The reading of hithan, and in the sense of bond, we conclude with the Ring Yosang with sukha nivasam. Ha'itham, the true tam of beings, the true creatrix of Asha, the holy. And at the end of that, the tyrants with fear. The word voyatra is difficult to place. The Pahlavi translator divided reading avo yatra, possibly avo e atra, and rendered frod Kushi Ait is smitten down. The Persian better, the Frode Zadar is smiting down. We may well hesitate before rejecting this indication, which may point to a better text, like Vafus. It may indicate the severity of the influences of the righteous system in the midst of the genial illusion. The ta vispa might refer quite naturally to dus skeyasthana in the previous verse. The form of voyatra corrected may represent some derivative from the root be or to fear. Compare the vyante in verse 8. And so likewise the apophathy of verse 36. Okay, that's got to be in 11. We're talking about the food. Give us our daily bread and all that sort of stuff. So likewise the apophathy with ku resno, otherwise for glory, havar savar, literally to thee, are both weal and immortality. Okay, the perfect expellers of hate. David Beshmin lak homane. Yoseng has vitakashtas davam ase. And there Yoseng, we're going to talk about the whole verse, aren't we? Rusai foes from far. Oh, maybe not. As thus, both are to be derived from thee. Avir Dada's food, and that of Amir Dada also. The food of the Lord of Water, and of the Lord of Wood, otherwise simply water and tree. So the later Avesta and Parsism, and in the kingdom of the best mind, righteousness is making a revelation together with the perfect mind. Do thou also bestow zeal and power upon this one, O great wise one, the Lord. From torment art thou exempt. And we have Virei Isno as thy regulations, thine ordinances. Ara Yisno. The apophathy has a gloss with thy good mind. Verse 12, teach us the way of original religion. And I don't think I'm going to be able to share this next note here, so I'm going to stop.